صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان. والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان. والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة ونخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. رب المشرقين ورب المغربين. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يرسل عليكما شواظ من نار ونحاس فلا تنتصران. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. وإذا انشقت السماء فكانت وردة كالدهان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. فيومئذ لا يسأل عن ذنبه إنس ولا جان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. يعرف المجرمون بسيماهم فيؤخذ بالنواصي والأقدام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. هذه جهنم التي يكذب بها المجرمون. يطوفون بينها وبين حميم آن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ولمن خاف مقام ربه جنتان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان ذواتا أفنان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيهما عينان تجريان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي ابن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وسي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله حاجات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا سادتي يا موالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وهاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوب عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجاي. يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين، ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين. آمين رب العالمين. صلوات.
کاروان باز آمد از شام بلا، تا سر راه حجاز و کربلا. ساربان گفتا به زین العابدین، کی امام و پیشوای ساجدین. این طریق کربلا و این حجاز، حکم فرما رو کجاریم باز. گفت مولا حکم زینب است، آن که روز باطل از نطقش شب است. هر کجا این کاروان رو می نهد، امه سادات فرمان می دهد. ساربان مبهوت از آن قدر و جلال، راه خود را کرد از زینب سؤال. گفت زینب جان من در کربلا است، جان من جانان من در کربلا است. کربلا باغ گل یاس من است، لاله آن دست عباس من است. لاله های پرپر من کربلا است، از غر من اکبر من کربلا است. ساربان آهنگ رفتن ساز کن، چون ملک تا کربلا پرواز کن. دست حیرت ساربان بر لب گرفت، با ادب دستور از زینب گرفت. کاروان آهنگ رفتن ساز کرد، کربلا آغوش خود را باز کرد. کی گرامی آل ختم المرسلین، فادخلوها بالسلام آمنین. ز اشتیاق یاس های نیلگون، از مزار عاشقان جوشید خون. زخم خامس آل عبا، این ندام داد خواهر مرحبا. خواهر جان ای فراد، از کام عطشانت خجل. ای حسین از چشم گریانت خجل. بر سر قبرم گلاب آورده ای، تشنه دیدی و آب آورده ای. بشکنین بغضی که داری در گلو، هرچی میخواهد دل تنگت بگو. بر حسینت شام را توصیف کن، از خراب رفتنت تعریف کن. از درخت خشک و سنگ و سر بگو، از لب و از چوب و تشت زر بگو. صورت خورشید و نوک نی چی بود، قصه قرآن و بزم می چی بود. جان من بنشین و حرف دل بگو، از جبین و چوبه محبل بگو. بچی بزم عشق و ماتم است، جمعتان جمع است و یک کودک کم است. من در آن ویران آن شب با سرم، سر زدم هم بر تو هم بر دخترم. خواهرم من با تو بودم هم سفر، تو پا می رفتی این ره من بسیر. غیر آن یک شب که بودم در تنور، این چه منزل نبودم از تو دورم. گرچه سر و قامدت از خم است، غم مخور عمر تو بعد از من کم است. یا اخا دست بیرون از خاک کن، اشک چشم زینبت را پاک کن. ای با زینب دریم خون هم سخن، از گلوی چاک چاک خشتن. ای تکلم کرده پنهانی سرت، سیر چوب خیزران با خواهرت. گرچه دیدم مهنت ایام را، فتح کردم کوفه را و شام را. خصم پای گریه ما خنده کرد، سود قرآن تو ما را زنده کرد. خطبه من کار صد شمشیر کرد، سوره کف تو را تفسیر کرد. تا سرت بر نوک نی قاری نشد، خون ز پیشانی من جاری نشد. ایچ دانی داغ تو با من چی کرد، ایچ پرسی با دلم دشمن چی کرد. جای گل می ریخت در آن سرزمین، سنگ بر ما از یسار و از یمین. آن که جسمت را به خون آغشته بود، کاش اول زینبت را کشته بود. کاش تیره کس کمان خصم جست، جای تو بر قلب زینب می نشست. کاش من جای تو ای خورشید نور، می نهادم چهره بر خاک تنور. کاش آن کاچوب می زد بر لبت، شرم می کرد از نگاه زینبت. کاش می مردم نمی رفتم وطن، تازه شش یوسف برم یک پیرهن. کاش می شد بوسه در قهر خاک، می زدم بر آن گلوی چاک چاک. من که برگرد امامم سوختم، پشت در از مادرم آموختم. صلوات محمدی.
Please send a loud salawat to the martyrs of Karbala and for the recovery. All those are in bed, recovering from all sort of illnesses. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. پس از تو جان برادر چی رنج ها که کشیدم، چی شهرها که نگشتم، چی کوچه ها که ندیدم. به سخت جانی خود آنقدر نبود گمانم، که بی تو زنده ز دشت بلا به شام رسیدم. برون نمود در آن دم که خصم پیرهنت را به طنز پنجه غم، جامه هر زمان بدریدم. چو ماه 14 دیدم سر تو را به سر نی هلالوار زبار مصیبت تو خمیدم زدم به چوبه محمل سران زمانی که سر نی بنوک نیزه خولی سر چو ماه تو دیدم ز تازیانه و تن سنان و تنه دشمن دگر ز زندگی خیش گشت قطع امیدم میان کوچه و بازار شام پای پیاده سر از خجالت نامحرمان به جیب کشیدم شدم چو وارد بزم یزید بازوی بسته 1000 مرتبه مرگ خود از خدا طلبیدم هنوز بر کف پایم نشان آبله پیداست ز راه شام ز بس از جفا پیاده دویدم ولی به این همه غم شاد از آنم ای شه خوبان که نقد جان به جهان دادم و غم تو خریدم از این حکایت جانسوز جودی یا صف محشر از این حکایت جانسوز جودی یا صف محشر به نزد شاه شهیدان شریک همچو شهیدم صلوات
Brothers and sisters, I would now like to request Sheikh Naeem Al-Amri to address this majlis. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلى الله على محمد وعلى محمد. If we can get another one for the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And another one for the love of Fatimah az-Zahra alayha salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And the last one, a very enthusiastic salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad for the love of the Imam of our time, Imam Hujjar al-Jallahu Farajum al-Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. SubhanAllah, Haram has finished, but yet not finished. When we say what I mean by that is sometimes when we finish an occasion, we tend to close the book and turn the chapter and move on with our lives. Just like, for example, if someone passes away, we tend to bury them, right? Cry for them 2 weeks, and then tend to forget about them until their Arbaeen comes, and then we remember them again for that Arbaeen, and then our lives move on. For example, we have many powerful leaders that have come and gone, right? For example, Queen Elizabeth. It was a very, very big news when she passed away. And then look now. No one has ever thought about her until I've mentioned her right now. Right? When it comes to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and his Ahlul Bayt, we know the reason why he fought in Karbala. We know the reason why he stood up for Karbala. But does the message die with Imam Hussein on Karbala? No. It only begins. It's the continuation. So when we see how his family were taken captive from city to city, right? People saw how people paraded, how these individuals paraded the heads of the martyrs of Karbala, and how they were happy celebrating it, right? There are certain individuals right now who celebrate Muharram as a new year. Yes, Muharram is a new year. But yet, when we see why they celebrate it, it was because the enemies of Allah celebrated their so-called, I don't want to call it a victory, but they celebrated their loss. Why? Yes, they probably won in this world. But you know what? They lost in the hereafter. In fact, they actually lost in this world and lost in the hereafter. They lost the rewards in this world and the rewards of the hereafter. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. We see sometimes, even nowadays, even in politics, right now they play dirty politics. They seem, or they tell us that, listen, we're with the Muslims. When? During Ramadan you're with the Muslims? What about every other single day when Muslims are being oppressed? Are you with the Muslims then? Or only during Shahr Ramadan? Right? Because during Shahr Ramadan, what do you see? You see certain political leaders going on the media, in media, and doing what? Oh, Ramadan Mubarak to the Muslims. Happy New Year's to the Muslims. Wait, what about the Shia Muslims? What about giving the condolences to the Muslims for the martyr of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? We don't see this. We see why is because they want to win the Muslim majority for their votes in order for them to put in their own propaganda. We see this in history happening. It happened in history, right? For example, when they wanted to sign the peace treaty with Rasulullah, right? What did it say? It said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Muhammadur Rasulullah, right? So what did the kafirs, or what did the infidels replied, or mushrikeen replied to Rasulullah? It's like, listen, if we wanted to believe that you were the Prophet of Allah, then you know what? Then yeah, of course, we'll not have fought you, and there will be no reason for this treaty. So change it to Muhammad, son of Abdullah. So here, Rasulullah told Amir al-Mu'mineen, change it because of this. So there are sometimes, we have to remain quiet. We have to do taqiyya. And there are some times where we have to stand up and we have to fight the injustice through any means necessary. Why do I say this? Because subhanallah, I like to refer to Imam Hassan alayhi salam as the forgotten Imam, as the Imam that's oppressed. In my opinion, this is just my humble opinion, I see Imam Hassan alayhi salam one of the most oppressed Imams out of all the Imams. Now, why do I say this? Because we say, wait, well, what about Imam Hussein? Wasn't he oppressed? Of course he was oppressed. I said one of the most oppressed Imams. Obvious, all the Imams were oppressed. Why do I say Imam Hassan alayhi salam? Because the Shias themselves nowadays, people who call themselves Shia, will stand up and say, listen, Imam Hussein, a'udhu billah, he's a coward. Muslims, not non-Shias, Shias themselves, Twelfers, people who claim to be lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, will stand up and say that Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he was sort of a coward, a'udhu billah. Why? Why do they say this? They say, listen, because he did not stand up against Muawiyah. Wait. Let's rewind history and let's study history and see why Imam Hassan alayhi salam did not stand up against Muawiyah after Allah sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Now the question comes, why didn't he stand up? This is a lesson for us to learn now. Because we want the Imam to come out, no? Everyone wants the Imam to come out, obviously. It's a given. Why didn't Imam Hassan alayhi salam stand up? One of the reasons is because he did not have supporters. It's not that he did not want to stand up. It's he did not have enough supporters. So if we call Imam Hassan alayhi salam a coward for not standing up to Muawiyah, then you know what? Then we also called Imam Ali alayhi salam a coward. We've also went to the extent in calling Rasulullah a coward. Why? Because how many treaties were signed by Imam Ali alayhi salam? How many treaties were signed by Rasulullah? See, if we need to study history, brothers and sisters, we cannot just speak just for the sake of speaking. We need, if we really call ourselves, if I call myself Shi'at al-Amir al-Mu'mineen, I need to study the history, the Islamic history. I don't even need to touch Shia history. I need to touch the Islamic history. Why? Because if we touch the Islamic history, we will know the difference between haqq and batil. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So even there are people amongst the Shias, or should I say so-called Shias, who call themselves Shia, but yet have these ideologies. So when they come to the masjids or to the lectures, they say, listen, we are with you. Wait, have we not heard this in the Quran? We are with you. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, He says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسُ قَالُوا أَنُؤْمِنُ كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ السُّفَهَاءُ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whenever they are told, believe as the others believe, they answer, shall we believe as the fools have believed? Indeed, it is they who are the fools, but they are not aware. So now, and these individuals who call Imam Hassan alayhi salam, astaghfirullah, a coward, or he's too soft of an imam because he did not stand up. Wait, what does the Quran call them? The Quran calls these individuals fools. Because sometimes, when a child wants to touch, every parent can attest to this. If a child wants to touch a hot stove, and the father or the mother is watching them reaching for the hot stove, what's the reaction? The reaction is to grab their hand and pull it away from the hot stove. What's the reaction of the child? The reaction of the child is what? Is they're going to start crying. Why? Now, because we don't want the child to cry, are we going to allow them to touch the hot stove? No, we're not. It's common sense, unless, there's those minority of parents who let their kids do whatever they want, and maybe these people don't deserve to be parents, right? So now, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, Imam Hassan alayhi salam is telling us, listen, I know, because Imam Hassan alayhi salam does not, and all the Imams alayhi salam, they do not act out of their own desires. They act out of the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Is because they want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if Imam Hassan alayhi salam is sitting, know that he's still your Imam. If he stands, know that he's still your Imam. Why? Because there's a narration from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sallallahu Muhammadin wa Muhammad, where he says what? Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein are Imams either what? Sitting or standing. Imam Hassan alayhi salam was sitting. And if the roles were reversed, meaning if Imam Hassan was in the state of Imam Hussein, and if Imam Hussein was in the era of Imam Hassan, nothing would have changed. Imam Hussein would have sat, and Imam Hassan would have stood up against oppression. Nowadays we see the things, the oppression that are happening around the world. Sometimes Muslims are told to sit. For example, when Sayyid Sistani took at the fatwa for certain Shias only to go fight. Not all the Shias, remember, not all the Shias. Even here, he got backlashed. He's like, wait, why is he saying some Shias? Why not all the Shias go? Wait, he says, wait. Only some Shias can go. And even those living in Iraq, if you have a family that you're taking care of, and they are depending on you, if you have parents that are depending on you, then it is not wajib for you to go fight. Otherwise, stand up and fight. Even here he got backlash. So here we see he used the example of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhim as-salam. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Now for those people who are amongst them, I like to call them chameleon. What does a chameleon do? A chameleon, they know to change colors, right? They know to camouflage with their background. But when do you actually see the chameleon? Let's say, for example, there's a fly, and there's a chameleon right here. Let's call this a tree right here. There's a chameleon, and it will camouflage towards that tree, whatever it is, the leaf, the green. When it catches its prey, it will turn into its actual color. How do we see these into individuals? When do we see the true color of the individual? The true colors of the individual come when actually they've caught their prey. They've made this person go astray. That's when you see the true colors of a person, right? Or, for example, if the person stands up against them, you see their true colors of a human being, of this individual. So here, the Quran warns us about these individuals. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ الله يستهزئ بهم ويمدهم في طغيانهم يعمهون أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى فما ربحت تجارتهم وما كانوا مهتدين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and when they meet with the believers, meaning they sit with the believers, what do they tell the believers? They tell the believers, listen, we are with you. We are 100% with you. We will support you. How many times have we heard this with the governments? We are with the Muslims. We support the Muslims. Right? But when they part with their parties or with the shaitan, what do they say? We're not with them. We just mock them. We're doing mockery. Right? We're just mocking them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds by saying, listen, Allah is the one that mocks them. So the believer, they don't have to worry about them being mocked by the unbelievers or those who are claiming to be Shias or not Shias. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mocking them. And then he continues on by saying, these are the ones who have purchased error in the exchange of guidance. So imagine you have a house and I tell you, listen, this house costs this much. You buy it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, listen, in order to be on the truth, on the haqq, this is what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you sacrifice. It's going to cost you being persecuted because you want the highest level in heaven. Right? For example, you go to the gym. I remember saying this before. You go to the gym, you work out. What happens? Your muscles tear and they repair and they become bigger and bigger and bigger eventually, right? If somebody wants to study, if somebody's in school and they want to study, what do? Do they just leave their books there and just go like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm just going to read the summary and then whatever, rely on Allah when it comes to the exam? No, they put in time, they study, they take notes, they go to class, and so forth, right? If we have in careers, if we want a promotion, what do? Do we just do the basic minimum? Or do we do the extent? Or sometimes we stay extra hours in order to allow the boss to see us that we're putting extra effort in the work. Because that extra effort will reward me for later on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is showing us that, listen, you want me to be pleased with you? These are the things that you have to do. These are the requirements that you have to meet. So when we want our imam to come out, because again, first people actually to be judged by the imams are the scholars. The scholars, the mu'ammimeens, the ones who are the amamas. Not the individuals, not your normal individuals. No, they are the scholars. And a lot of scholars, the imam himself will kill a lot of scholars. Why? It's because they mislead the people. So when the imam comes out, the scholars will be judged first, not the normal individuals. Because the scholars are in charge and they are amana. They are trust. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the scholars people as a trust. So if the scholars don't do their job, the imam will take care of them. This is 100% true. There is no hiding from this. Now, if we want to be amongst the soldiers of the imam, sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, what can we do? We can take the example of the prophets. If we want to be soldiers of the imam, doesn't matter who we are, doesn't matter the age that we are in, doesn't matter if we're old or young, doesn't matter if we know a lot about Islam or minimum about Islam, doesn't matter if I just do my wajibat, doesn't matter all of these stuff. You don't have to read a lot of books. You don't have to become a scholar to become one of the soldiers of the Imam. One of the basic things that a person can do to become the soldier of the Imam is read Dua al-Ahad for 40 days. 40 days. After Fajr, read Dua al-Ahad. This is the most basic thing that you can do. And another thing that we can do is that we can work on ourselves, because if we work on ourselves and we warn our near ones, right? Because Rasulullah was told what? He wasn't told to go warn your nation. He was told to warn his kinship first. The people of the household. You know, sometimes we see the community, right, that they tend to pay so much attention to what A, B, and C are doing, right? What's Abu Ali doing? What's Abu Jafar doing? You know? What's this person doing? What's this uncle doing? What's this person's child doing? And then we go home and we tell our children, right? Listen, this guy's son is a doctor. Why don't you be like him? This person is an engineer. Why don't you be like him? You know what? Only if parents knew the truth. And I'm telling you here, the youth can actually understand this more than the parents. Why do I say the youth? Because sometimes the youth are friends with these individuals. So in their head, they're like, listen, Baba, Mama, you don't know what I know about this individual. You want me to be like them? Okay. I'll be like them, because every time you're telling me, why can't you be like this individual? Why can't you be like this individual? How do the kids take it? They take it like, listen, my parents want me to be like this individual, so let me take them as a role model. How do we know that they're actually good role models for our children? Because we tell them, be like this individual. This person is smart, this person is smart. So we already put in their head that, listen, okay, if this person talks back to the teacher or talks back to his parents, my parents see that as being smart. So let me talk back to them. So you see how we've turned our own children against us? Let the children be children. Let them be themselves. If anything, the way we should compare them is, listen, try your best to be like the role models like Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Try to be like Malik al-Ashtar. Try to be like these individuals. Don't try to be like John or Jack or Ali or Hassan or Hussein. No. Yes, they might have beautiful names like Hassan or Hussein, but Hassan or Hussein are not necessarily nice people. And then later on, when they've grown a strong relationship with them, us parents have the audacity to tell them, listen, don't hang around this person anymore. Now the child is confused. They're like, wait. First you tell me to be like him. Now you're telling me not to hang around with him. How does that make sense? So you see, this is how sometimes the parents themselves, sorry parents, forgive me, but sometimes the parents themselves do more damage to their own children than the environments around them. The parents themselves do more damage to the individuals and their own children than the environment itself. Because this is what we teach them. So if we want to teach them right and wrong and to stand up for injustice, then we have to teach them the story of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. We have to teach them about the sermons of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam and Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam. Why do we have to do this? The reason why, brothers and sisters, respected brothers and sisters, the reason why we have to do this, we have to raise our nations of tomorrow. Nowadays, I'm sure a lot of them are actually going back to school, I believe tomorrow. They have these new system in the education system that, listen, your child has the choice to be called he, she, or them, or whatever they want to be called. Whatever pronouns they want to be called, as a school, they have to be called. So if we don't teach our children these basic things about Islam, they're gonna go to school, either kindergarten or whatever. They're gonna put, when you sign up your kids for school, I don't know if anyone has registered their kids for school, they send a sheet home and they said, what pronouns do you want your child to be called? If a parent, right, stands up against this and say, no, I don't want this, what happens? This is where the government comes inside your house and takes your kids away. Now, we think that, listen, this is the law. Okay, I have to abide by the law. I'm scared. I don't want my kids to be taken away from me. So let me just sit down. No, you stand up. Because no, I'm telling you, because I've seen this with my own eyes. CAS, the Children's Aid Society, sometimes they take kids out of an actual good home and put them in an abusive home. In an abusive home. They take them out of a good home and put them in an abusive home. You think CAS, they actually care if your child eats halal? They don't care. All they care is the safety of your child. This is the number one priority. So a person can feed them haram knowledge, not just food, haram knowledge. Give them the wrong mentality. Tell them, listen, you have the right to choose your pronoun. You have the right to stand up against your parents. You have the right to disrespect your parents. Obviously, they don't say it like this, right? Just like the shaitan. When he comes, he doesn't go to whom? He doesn't go to those who already believe, because who disbelieve. He doesn't touch these people. He's like, listen, don't worry. Your seat in Jahannam is already reserved. There's a name on it for you. I don't need to come to you. Who does he go to? He goes to the mu'mineens. He goes to the mu'mineens and mu'minats. He goes to the believing men and believing women. Why? Because it's like, these are the people that I want to misguide. But who are his number one targets? The youth of today. Why? Because they know the old people, right? Like Sheikh Shafiq says, if you're 99 and younger, you're considered a youth. So if you're 99 and younger, right, what the shaitan will be like, listen, this guy, his belief is already firm. I don't need to go to him and mislead him already there, because he already has a strong belief. Let me go to the person who has a shaky belief. And who are these people? The youth. And we see this in history. We see this in history. The indigenous people. Who did they attack? They attacked the youth. Why? Because they built schools for them. They abused them. And then they told them, listen, you can't be called by this name. And if they know, they're like, no, they abused them. And they changed their names. You think that this will probably happen in third world countries, in the United States. No, but actually happened in Canada, in Ontario. They have schools for Indians, for native Indians or indigenous people. They had schools, but they shut them down now. They used to abuse these indigenous people. They used to brainwash them. Do you not see history repeat itself? Are we not going to stand up for our children? Is it only that parents care about their children is when they get A pluses or 100%, or they become doctors, and then, you want to know who your favorite child is? Put it this way. Somebody falls, right? Maybe the youth can test this. If a child falls, if they say, who is it? Who is it that fell? They're like, oh, it's me. Okay. No problem. Right? The favorite one falls. Who fell? Oh, it's me. The parent will get up and run. This is how you know who your favorite one is. Right? Now the parents know the trick. There's another trick. How children can find out who their favorite one is. There are many tricks. But listen, we shouldn't play favorites. Obviously, yes, maybe I shouldn't say this. Because me, if someone asks me who's my favorite, I'll say my daughter. Right? Why? Because she's my only daughter. I have 2 sons. They inherit and then they leave. Right? Parents can attest to this 100%. When the daughter gets married, the daughter still takes care of the father. But when the son gets married, he goes on with his life. And maybe if the parents are lucky, once a week they come to the house, if they're lucky. So here the point is, we have to take care of our community. Why? Because if we take care of our community will take care of us. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Okay. So more time. 7:40? Okay, I heard 8:40 before. Okay, sorry. So we see that when Imam Zain al-Abidin stood up against the oppressors and the killers of Imam Hussein, what did he do? When he was being dragged from city to city to city, right? What did he do? He still influenced other people. Even in Karbala, when the war was going on, Imam Zain al-Abidin, he's one of the sons of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, no? Yes, of course. Were Imam Hassan alayhi salam sons there? Yes, of course they were there. Did they want to fight? Yes. Did they fight? Yes. Did Abu Fadl Abbas fight? No. He was ordered not to fight by Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He was only ordered for what? He only had one mission. Look how he was able to control his own desires. Even though he wanted to protect his brother. But look, he only had one mission. And he even had to ask Imam Hussein alayhi salam for permission. For what? To go get water. He's like, listen, Imam, let me go get water for the kids. Just water. I'm not going to do anything. Just let me go get water. Even here, Imam Hussein was hesitant to allow him to go because of the love that he had for his brother. Nowadays, when we see brothers and sisters, right, they will fight over a simple thing. Right? They will fight over the last chocolate, or this is mine. No, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Right? And then the parents will intervene, like, leave it for your older one, leave it for your younger one, he's just a baby. Right? When we do this, children are actually smarter than parents, if you want to know this. We give them less credit. We've trained them from a very young age. Yes, it's good, but at the same time, it's not good to keep up that habit. For example, an infant. Can an infant talk? No. But when an infant cries, what happens? First thing the parent does is run to the infant. Sometimes they say, let the infant cry for a little bit. Let them gain and learn independence. Right? Let them fall asleep in their own crib at a certain time. Don't run right away to them. Yes, you're building that trust, but at the same time, don't run right away to them. So when an infant cries, yes, attend to them. So now the infant has known. Imagine 3 years of their lives. They cry, the parent comes. Or a parent comes. They cry, they get what they want. They get changed. Their diapers get changed. They cry, they get fed. They cry, somebody plays with them. They cry, they get what they want. 3 years of their lives, brothers and sisters, 3 years of their lives, we've been conditioning them. If you want something, cry for it, and you will get it. But what's the thing that we don't do? What we don't do is we don't uncondition them as a parent. We don't uncondition this behavior. We condition them, but we don't uncondition them in this behavior. For example, there's a story. Actually, I'm sure if you Google it, there's an experiment. of little Albert and the white rabbits. What they did with little Albert and the white rabbits is they basically, obviously right now it's not allowed to do this in any type of psychological studies, or because it's inhumane. Children are known not to be afraid of anything. That's why you see sometimes children will play with dangerous things, right? So little Albert was playing with the rabbit, touching the rabbit, and the rabbit is known to be soft. Touching the rabbit. Here they wanted to condition little Albert. What did they do? They took little Albert. Every time he touched the white rabbit, the person doing the experiment will make a loud sound. Poor little Albert, he'll get scared and he'll start crying. So eventually they kept on doing this. What happened? Now every single time, it doesn't even have to be a white rabbit. It doesn't even have to be a rabbit himself. Every time he sees something fluffy, little Albert gets scared and he starts crying. What's the mistake in this experiment is they didn't uncondition them. They didn't uncondition little Albert. So the whole time he grew up being afraid of furry stuff. So now, my point being is if we don't uncondition our kids in doing certain things, they're going to continue this behavior. You know, there's a famous thing, this famous quote that parents say, right? Where did you learn this behavior from? It's not from me, right? Or sometimes the fathers will be like, probably you learned it from your mother's side, right? Or the mothers will be like, you know what? No, 100% you got it from your father's side. This is definitely not from me. Right? In reality, it might not be from your genes, but it's probably from the environment that both parents have set. So if we, for example, fight, if I was to fight with my wife in front of my children, what am I teaching my child? What am I teaching my child? Listen, you can yell at your mom, no problem. This is what I'm telling them. I'm probably physically not telling them this, but mentally I'm telling them this. Look, this is what you have to do. So now when the father goes to work, right? He comes home. What's the first thing the father gets? Complaints, right? Father says, I haven't taken out my shoe yet. You're giving me complaints? And then we have the audacity to call the child and discipline them. I'm not saying don't discipline your child. Don't discipline them. But no way they learn that behavior, because sometimes it's a learned behavior that we as parents have failed to uncondition. So when we want to condition them with something good. Condition them by telling them the right and wrong, and there are consequences for these specific actions that they take. And also reinforce the good things that they're doing with positive reinforcements. Right? So for example, the Imams, what they used to do is when people used to come and ask them for things, they used to give them. Right? Sometimes they give them, you don't know where they get these things. When you read riwayah, like 500 dinars? The Imam gave this individuals 500 dinars just for asking? Yes, of course. Why? Because sometimes, it's a psychological thing. When you're nice to someone, coaches tend to do this a lot. They tend to be nice to their players, treat their players nice, right? And sometimes you hear individuals say, this person will run through the walls for their coaches. Are we ready to run through the wall and die for our Imam? Look what he's done for us. Look at the blood that he shed in Karbala for us. Are we ready to run through walls for Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Are we ready to run through walls and stand up against injustice and stand up against those who are doing oppression and stand up with those who are being oppressed? Are we ready for this? Are we willing to do this? Or is it just because, I don't like this individual, they deserve what they're getting. Let them get them. You know what? Sometimes even within our own family members, we do this. It's good that this happened to them. They deserve it because they treated me bad. Wait. Who am I? Who am I to say that this person treated me bad? Do I understand their circumstances, why they did such a thing? No, I don't understand it. Right? The first thing in believing in Islam is what? What is the kalima of Islam? Who knows? Who can say it? Say it out loud if you can. La ilaha illallah. Right? You're negating something. So when you want to believe, you want to be considered a believer, negate something. So when you want to stand like the army of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, if you want to be one of the 313s, 313 by the way are only the generals. The imams are a lot. So the 313s are the generals. You think a general of an army, any army, let's put the imam's army aside. Any army, a general is given an order and they disobey that order, what happens? They get court-martialed, right? And then they get sent to prison. And God knows what happens to them in prison. A general gives the orders, and the soldiers will have to obey the orders. Who's our general right now? Who's our general right now? Our 12th Imam is our general. He's giving us specific orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are we obeying his orders? Because we know if we disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not court-martialed. The reality is Jahannam. And it's not Jahannam sometimes it's Jahannam forever. Or sometimes it's Jahannam for only a certain amount of time. And we'll be taken out of Jahannam. And those people who will be taken out of Jahannam, there will be marks on their forehead to say that these people were in Jahannam. So if we do not want even to go close to Jahannam, the best thing for us to do is follow the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the command of our general, Imam Sahib al-Zaman, sallallahu Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. What is his command? His command is for us obviously to do our wajibats and to stand up against injustice. Because if we do not stand up against injustice, brothers and sisters, if I want to point to myself first, if I do not stand up against injustice, I am responsible for the injustice being spread in the world. Simple. I am responsible for that. Maybe this is not the time to say this, but also if someone is good and comes, for example, and asks of you, my daughter's young, but when she comes in age of marriage, someone is good and comes to ask for my daughter's hand in marriage, and I say no, for no apparent reason, this person is a good mu'min. He might have trouble to provide, but I know he'll provide. Because Allah will provide for him. And I know he's good. And I know he has good akhlaq. And I have no good reason saying no. And I'm like, no, you can't marry my daughter. Why? Because you know what? I want somebody from my own culture to marry them. I want somebody from my own status to, even though I'm very poor. But I want somebody from my own status to marry my daughter. I don't want somebody, you're lower than my status. You know, there's a hadith that says a person who says no to this individual has spread dhulm on earth. They're also responsible in spreading dhulm towards the whole earth. So if somebody comes good and I know that they're good and I ask about them and I do my research, yes, as a father we have to do our research. Do your research on this individual and then make up your choice. Most likely you should say yes if they're good, regardless of their status, either rich or poor. Regardless of their status, say yes. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them. Why? Is because you have saved two individuals from doing haram. Who knows, maybe if I was to say no, maybe that child or that somebody's son that came to ask for my daughter's hand, maybe they'll go do adultery after. Maybe they'll go into doing haram after. Maybe my own daughter will go into doing haram because I prevented her from something that's halal. Nowadays, you see that halal has been turned into haram and haram has been turned into halal. Simple things that are halal, we turn them into haram. And the halal and the haram stuff, we turn them into halal stuff. So we have to do our best to put justice back onto this earth, even though we will not feel it. But we have to prepare this earth for the Imam. If I was to tell you, tomorrow there's a guest coming to your house, every single one of you guys has an important guest, one of the biggest scholars of Islam are coming to your house. How many of you will prepare your house? How many of you will clean or sometimes hire cleaners to clean top and bottom? And sometimes, we want to look like a good mu'min. We'll put the Quran on our coffee table, right? Why? Because we know this individual is coming. So we want to look good for them, only for that time. The best foods will be cooked for these individuals. And we will tell our kids, listen, this Maulana is coming, so you have to serve this Maulana and you have to wear your best of clothes. Right? You have to wear your best of clothes. You can't wear dirty clothes. You have to wear clean clothes, clean socks, and you have to be very respectful. And you can't talk to him. You just say salam, you offer the food, and you go back, and you keep coming back and forth. The Imam is waiting for us to prepare this earth for him. Why? Because when we prepare this earth for him, it will be easy for him to come out. Remember, he's waiting for us. We're not waiting for him. This is the number one thing. If you're going to forget anything about this lecture, I don't mind. But this I don't want you to forget. The Imam is waiting for us and we're not waiting for him. So think about it. When Imam Zain al-Abidin was standing in the courts in Kufa, and he gave this huge sermon, and he says, I am the son of, right? I am the son of, I am the son of, I am the son of so and so. To the point that the people started wanting to follow him. They wanted to switch. They started believing the Imam Zain al-Abidin. To the point that the individual sitting on the throne called the mu'adhin and says, do the adhan. When he did the adhan, now imagine here, the Imam has a collar. Like right now, this is bothering me. This is bothering me, Sometimes we have a tight collar on, it's bothering us. And I'm just imagining the Imam. When he was taken to Karbala as a prisoner, he had this hot chain around his neck. Sometimes I wonder how it feels. He had this hot shackle around his neck. Just having the shackle around my neck, this is uncomfortable for me. Imagine he's being dragged through the hot desert sand. The heat, the scorching heat of the sun. And the chain of the shackle of his leash is peeling his skin. That to the point that he has to take the cloth and shove it in to protect, to make a barrier between the shackles and his neck. So his skin doesn't peel off. Now when he goes in front of the cursed enemy, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curse him. I don't like saying these individuals' name. But when he goes in front of the enemies of Allah, and he says, I am this person, if you do not know me, If you know me, then you know who I am. If you do not know me, this is who I am. And then he starts explaining himself. He's saying, listen, I am the son of Rasulullah. I am the son of Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam. I am the son of Medina, of the city of Medina, meaning what? The son of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the city of knowledge. Right? I am the son of this. And then when the enemy told the person, listen, do the adhan. The adhan was done. He was like, the muadhin goes, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then the Imam responds, surely Allah is great. The muadhin continues in saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. The Imam responds, surely there is no God but Allah. Now this is where it breaks the hearts. He says, the muadhin goes, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Here the Imam orders the muadhin to stop. And he addresses the person sitting on that chair that he shouldn't be sitting. He's like, listen, is Muhammad your grandfather or my grandfather? If you say he's your grandfather, then surely you have lied. But if you say that he is my grandfather, then why? Then why did you kill his grandson and his children in Karbala? Ya Hussein, Matam al-Hussein, Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. Allahumma
Girya kun ba gurbate Husain, girya yadgar Zainabaz. Girya kun ba gurbate Husain, girya yadgar Zainabaz. Har ki girya karda pas ado, Gar Zainabaz. Girya kun ba gurbate Husain, girya yadgar Zainabaz. Jisme para para e Husain, manda bekafan ba Karbala. Jisme para para e Husain, manda bekafan ba Karbala. Karbanai zadar muqabile, chashme ashk bar Zainabaz. Girya kun ba gurbate Husain, girya yadgar Zainabaz. Gah girya kun barak barash, gah batushnagi asgharash. Gah girya kun barak barash, gah batushnagi asgharash. Chun baqatl gah ta basham, ahuna lagar Zainabaz.
است گریه کن با غربت حسین گریه یادگار زینب است تازیان عابد خورد تا رقیه الشتر فداد تازیان عابد خورد تا رقیه الشتر فداد در مقابل ازار دم قلب بیقرار زینب است گریه کن با غربت حسین گریه یادگار زینب است دلگاه چطور غم شود بے اراده دیدنم شود دلگاه چطور غم شود بے اراده دیدنم شود گریه عین فطرت بشر گریه اعتبار زینب است گریه کن با غربت حسین گریه یادگار زینب است جسم پارا پارا حسین مانده بے کفن بکربلا جسم پارا پارا حسین مانده بے کفن بکربلا سر بنیزه در مقابله چشم اشک بار زینب است گریه کن با غربت حسین گریه یادگار زینب است هر که گریه کرده پس از او راز گردگار زینب است یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
هالنوح يا زهرة على منه تنوحين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين هالنوح يا زهرة على منه تنوحين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين دهر رماني بالرزايا بكل غالي شتت عيالي عن يمين وعن شمالي دهر رماني بالرزايا بكل غالي شتت عيالي عن يمين وعن شمالي ما اشوف انا من الضيم بس ولاد حالي وفنبض الضيم بس ولاد حالي واعظم علي لونه عناعي على حسين واعظم علي لونه عناعي على حسين النوح زهرة على منه تنوحين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين ابكي على اولادي ذبايح يوم عاشور وانا نصبتي العزا وسط القبور ابكي على اولادي ذبايح يوم عاشور وانا نصبتهم عزا وسط القبور ونسي الضلع اللي بضيج الباب مكسور ونسي الضلع اللي بضيج الباب مكسور وكل العزا والنوح والدمعة على حسين كل العزا والنوح والدمعة على حسين هالنوح يا زهرة على منه تنوحين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين لا تحسبوني للرضا في الطوس ما جيت ولا إلى بغداد ما رحت وتعنيت لا تحسبوني للرضا بالطوس ما جيت ولا إلى بغداد ما رحت وتعنيت كلهم عليهم نحت وتجيب بشقيت وكلهم عليهم نحت وجي بشقيت واعظم علي لون عناعي على حسين واعظم علي لون عناعي على حسين هالنوح يا زهرة على منه تنوحي نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين حنيت نادت والدمع الخد بالي حنت ونادت والدمع الخد بالي انت تسألوني يا خلق كلهم ولادي انت تسألوني يا خلق كلهم ولادي لكن مصاب حسين ظل ماضي وباقي ولكن مصاب حسين ظل ماضي وباقي هالنوح يا زهرة على منه تنوحي نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين نوحك على المسموم لو نوحك على حسين صلوات يا حسين
جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان بابا قربان جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان بابا قربان جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان شہ مظلوم کہتے تھے سکینہ سے بی بی شہ مظلوم کہتے تھے سکینہ سے اے بی بی ہماری اور تمہاری داستاں ہے ایک ہی جیسی جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ شہ مظلوم کہتے تھے سکینہ سے بی بی شہ مظلوم کہتے تھے سکینہ سے بی بی ہماری اور تمہاری داستاں ہے ایک جیسی جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان بابا قربان تیری میری مصیبت ہے سکینہ ایک ہی جیسی چوری گردن پہ میرے تیرے گردن پہ ہے رسی میں نیزے پر چلا ہوں اور تو کانٹوں پہ ہے بی بی میرے سر سے لہو جاری تیرے کانوں سے خو جاری تماچے تیرے چہرے پر لگائے جا رہے ہیں یہاں نیزے پہ ہم پتھر ہی کھائے جا رہے ہیں جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان بابا قربان جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان بابا قربان لئی نے کیچ کر چینی جو تجھ سے بالیا تیری ہوا کانوں سے خوجاری صدا اموں کو تو نے دی تیری غربات میری جیسی میری حالت تیری جیسی انگوٹھی کے لیے کھاتی ستمگر نے تیری میری انگلی یہاں بیٹی تجھے ناکوں سے گروایا گیا ہے میرے لاشے پہ وہاں گھوڑوں کو دھورایا گیا ہے جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان بابا قربان تماچے تو نے کھائے ہیں ہے پتھر کھائے میں نے بھی تیرے رخسار ہے نیلے میرا چہرہ ہوا زخمی کئی دن کا ہوں میں پیاسا کئی دن کی ہے تو پیاسی گلا ہے خشک تیرا بھی رگیں میری بھی ہے سوکھی ہمارے درد کو سمجھے کوئی ہے کاش بی بی میں لاشا ہو کے زندہ ہوں تو زندہ لاش بی بی جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان سکینہ جان بابا قربان
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على السلام على ولي الله وابن حبيبه. السلام على خليل الله وابن حبيبه. السلام على صفي الله وابن صفيه. السلام على الحسين المظلوم الشهيد. السلام على أسير الكربات وقتل العبرات. اللهم إني أشهد أنه وليك وصفيك وابن صفيك الفائز بكرامتك الأكرمته وبشاهدته وحبوته وبساعدته واجتبيته بالطيب الولادة وجعلته سيدا من السادة وقائدا من القادة وذائدا من الذادة وأعطيته مواريث الأنبياء وجعلته حجة على خلقك من الأوصياء وأعذر في الدعاء ومنح النصح وبذل محجته فيك ليستنقذك عبادك من الجهالة وحيرة الضلالة. وقد توازر عليه من غرته دنيا وباع حظه بالأرض للأدنى وشرى آخرته بالثمن الأوكس وخطرس وترد في هواه وأسخطك وأسخط نبيك وأطاع من عبادك أهل الشقاق والنفاق وحملة الأوزار المستوجبين النار فجاهدهم فيك صابرا محتسبا حتى سفك في طاعتك دمه واستبيح حريمه. اللهم افعل عنهم لعنا وبيلا وعذبهم عذابا أليما. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا سيد الأوصياء. أشهد أنك أمين الله وابن أمينه. عشت سعيدا ومضيت حميدا ومت فقيدا مظلوما شهيدا. وأشهد أن الله منجز ما عدك ومهلك من خذلك ومعذب من قتلك. وأشهد أنك وفيت بعهد الله وجاهدت في سبيله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله من قتلك ولعن الله من ظلمك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. اللهم إني أشهدك أني ولي لمن والى وعدو لمن عادى. بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله. أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة. لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك المسك من مدلهمات ثيابها، وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المسلمين ومعقل المؤمنين، وأشهد أن الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي، وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا، وأشهد أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشراع الدين وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم، وأمري لأمركم متبع، ونصرتي لكم معدة حتى يأذن الله لكم، فمعكم لا مع عدوكم، صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وأجسادكم وشاهدكم وغائبكم وظاهركم وباطنكم، آمين رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد المرسلين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات، فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزلتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله المهدين لهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على
Brothers and sisters, as the time for namaz is getting close, I request the youngsters to help set out the prayer mat. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
إن الله وملائكته وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صل على محمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل على أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد أشهد أن عليا ولي الله اللهم صل على أشهد أن عليا ولي الله حي على السلام حي على السلام حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله صلى الله عليه
If we can please fill up the first names first before we go to the second one. Actually, it's more, you get more rewards with the first name, so. Bismillah, yes. One thing we should be greedy on, even though we shouldn't be greedy of anything, but one thing that I really encourage everyone to be greedy on is the rewards. So if anything, I know we fight over little stuff, but if anything, we should be fighting to sit in the front row. Not physically, but so we should, inshallah, start our prayers. And also just a reminder that I'm going to say it again, for Salat al-Isha, I'm praying Qasr because I'm traveling. So I'm going to finish my 2 rakat and then you guys will continue on after. Thank you. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل. حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة. قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. أبدا ودائما لا إله إلا الله. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بذلك الله ربي. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رب اغفر لي ولوالدي والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا ولي العافية أسألك العفو والعافية عافية الدين والدنيا والآخرة والمغفرة عند الموت والعفو عند الحساب ورضاك والجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك موجبات رحمتك وأزائم مغفرتك والنجاة من النار ومن كل بلية والفوز بالجنة والرضوان في دار السلام وجوار نبيك محمد عليه وآله السلام. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك لا إله إلا أنت. أستغفرك وأتوب إليه يا أرحم الراحمين.
Just a reminder, I'll just be praying qasr, so please continue after the second rakat. I'll be finishing my salah. Oh, just a reminder, I'll be praying qasr because I'm traveling. So just continue after my, because during the shahada I'll be saying the taslim, but you guys will be saying the shahadatain. Sallallahu Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله أبدا ودائما لا إله إلا الله استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه استغفر الله ربي استغفر الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بذلك الله ربي. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن وليك حجة ابن حسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الرحمن الرحيم
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إنه ليس لي علم بموضع رزقي وإنما أطلبه بخطرات تخطر على قلبي فأجول في طلب البلدان فأنا فيما أنا طالب كعيدان لا أدري في سهل هو أم في جبل أم في أرض أم في السماء أم في بر أم في بحر وعلى يدي من ومن قبل من وقد علمت أن علمه عندك وأسبابه بيدك وأنت الذي تقسمه بلطفك وتسببه برحمتك. اللهم فصل على محمد وآله واجعل يا رب رزقك لي واسعا ومطلبه سهلا ومأخذه قريبا ولا تغنني بطلب مما لم تقدر لي فيه رزقا فإنك غني عن عذابي وأنا فقير إلا رحمتك. فصل على محمد وآله وجد على عبدك بفضلك إنك ذو فضل عظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Yeah, you'll be. Are you used to living before? Oh, you're new to Canada, so you just traveled there. Where is that? For London. So yeah, you can pay so if you pay full.
Okay, so I've been praying like because when I used to do it, I prayed but then I made this place.
At least, where are you from? The city is right? That would be your worker, and then instructors will be your worker. So you could have two workers. They will live in this
Okay, correct.
And then the one really was in Majlis is, for example, this is your work, you travel, so you will never pay custom, even if it's just vacation. Right? So here you will have
So every time I try to pull up here, great. Okay, right.
just take the minimum amount that you can pay. Think about the minimum amount that you can pay. So just say, for example, you're debating either 10 or 20. If you want to do it here, do the 20. Right? Do the minimum amount that you think that. Okay? So no. Yes. Yes.
And my friend made a video in Windsor. In Windsor.
Yes, in Windsor.
Video like
Oh.
in the Junub.
In the oh, should we go there?
Chelum Junub.
Which Junub? Yeah, where Windsor? Was it outside?
Yeah, outside.
Oh, okay, I know where it is. I know. Yeah, the city hall, there was a walk.
Yeah.
Yes.
I told you my friend, Farhan. You don't know. He has two sons. Ali, they recite Noah. Ali.
What's his last name? Ali?
Young guy is in university now. He's a two son. Farhan is a two son. Ali and
Not Abu Talib, right?
no.
Abu Talib son.
You want to start in Noah there too?
I probably know them by face.
Yeah, I know.
I know them by face for sure.
But I saw in video, I saw, oh.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, today I'm here and tomorrow I'm also here, inshallah.
Yeah, I saw.
Sheikh Fikruddin is there tomorrow. How's everything with you?
Yeah,
How's the masira here? How's the walk? Did you guys do the walk?
no, I was in Toronto.
Oh, you walked
Here
in
was good
Toronto?
walk, yes.
Yeah, here they have Said Hassan in the Waterloo Center.
Yeah.
Said Hassan Tabatabari. Yeah, Windsor. Yeah, studying there. Studying housing in New York. Yes, and that's the housing part. No. How is that? I'm doing psychology. It's my last one.
After a year, you will be imam, that's like
Yes, you can say that. Yeah. No, I've been here. Fridays, I've been while I'm in housing here, I applied to the university.
People who buy they create their own from the same if you buy it only there, I have all my courses. Yeah,